Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So we've been on this makeup journey together. I am filming this right after the last video that was just put up, but I was nice enough to change my shirt for you. So in the last video we talked about setting powder. So in this video we're going to be covering contour. So all total, the videos we've covered are primer, foundation, concealer, and then we did a video doing them all together and different ways to apply them. We've done setting powder, and now we're going to do contour. So what is contour? Contour is a practice that's used, a makeup application that's used basically to take the shadows that are naturally on your face already and make them more pronounced and make your face look more sculpted. A lot of women are starting to use this a little bit more nowadays, you know, since celebrities have made this really popular, you know, Kim Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, trying to think of other people that I know that are like, have been using this for a while. Pretty much anyone that's like really into fashion and beauty has been doing this for a little bit now. It's something I've just kind of recently gotten on board with and started to learn how to do. So just understand it might be a little bit odd to start doing it first if it's something that you want to break into, but it's a learning process. So the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So I like to keep it simple with my contour just because it's something that's still kind of new to me. So what I like to use, I have a few products here that I kind of pull from to do my contour. And let me grab all of them because I have some recommendations for you guys. So there's a few things that you have to be careful with contour. So if you are like me and you're typically super pale, you have to be careful what colors you get. If you're really pale, you have to get colors that aren't going to show up orange on your skin because you don't want to look orangey. You want it to look like a shadow. So a lot of times if you go with more of a taupey color or something that is a little bit more, I don't want to say grayish, but more of a gray base, it's not going to be super glowy. It's not going to be a bronzer. You want something that's a little bit more of a taupe color just to kind of give you that shadowed look, because like I said before, you don't want to look orange, you don't want to look like an Oompa Loompa. So I have a few recommendations for ones that are good for pale people. I got this one from Ulta. It's by Essence, and it is the color Chocolate Sundae. And before summer really hit, I was like super pale because I wasn't really spending any time outside, and this was kind of my go-to. Now that I am a little bit darker, it doesn't show up as much on my face. Just because my face is tanner, so I need a darker color to kind of do what I'm wanting done. But if you're pale, this is a really, really good one. Because you, like I said, you don't want it to look orange. This has a nice, I'm gonna try to get it on my finger or swatch it so you guys can see what color it really is. So if you look on my finger, it doesn't look reddish or orangish or yellowish. It looks more of like a brown gray. And I'll go ahead and swatch it on my hand so that you can see. This is definitely one, it's not going to be super bold. You're going to have to build it up if you want something super bold, but that's what the color looks like up against my skin. So it's not a super bold color. It blends out really easily. So it's not gonna look super streaky, especially if you kind of buff it out. But that's a good one. And like I said, I don't reach for that one very often now that I'm darker. But I will show you the ones that I typically reach for. So this one, excuse the fact that it looks kind of disgusting. I've had this one, which it's frowned upon how long I've had this, but I got this at Ulta. It's by Pure, and it was their Sculpt and Glow kit. They had it out at Christmas time, and it comes with like 3 different colors in it, and you can tell what color I've used the most, because when I was paler, this color was perfect, and that color was called Silhouette. So it was a lighter brown. It had a little bit more of a taupey color to it. It wasn't super orangey. Whereas this one is a little bit darker. It has a little bit more of an orange color to it. It's definitely better for when you are darker. But I absolutely love this. I reach for it all the time. Another option, so when you are darker, you can use bronzer as a contour. You have to be careful though, because like I said, you don't want it to look orangey. Even when you're dark, you don't want it to look orangey. It's supposed to look like a shadow. So shadows typically aren't orange. But this is one by IT Cosmetics. And I've hit pan on it. I use it quite a bit. It's amazing. It's their Bye Bye Pores bronzer. It smells like coconut. So like when you first put it on, it smells like coconut, and then it dissipates within like 30 seconds. So you don't smell it all throughout the day, but when you first put it on, you do. And this color is called Beach, which I believe they actually have multiple colors, and this is, I think, the lightest one. I love this, especially if you're going for a more bronzy, natural look. Like, this is perfect because it really gives you that bronze look without being overboard. Now, this one is the one that I reach for the most. So it's by Benefit, and I actually have a whole palette. It's called the Cheek Leaders palette, and you can get this at Ulta. But it has several different bronzers in it. It has this one and this one. So this is the Hoola bronzer, which they also make a Hoola Light for paler girls, which it's amazing. And then they also have one called Dallas, that it's pretty dark, but it's more of a pink base. So it honestly, if you put too much of it on, it looks like it could have been a blush. But honestly, I reach for my Hoola bronzer more often than I reach for anything else. So I highly recommend that. And like I said, you can get this at Ulta. I believe you might be able to get it at Sephora. IT Cosmetics, you can get it at Ulta. The Pure, you can get it at Ulta. And Essence, I know you can get it at Ulta, and I believe you can get it at some Targets. But typically I just order it from Ulta, and I, use my coupon on it, because I know that they have it, and they have like this buy online, pick up in store thing going on right now, that like you basically order the things online, you set what store you want to pick it up at, and if they have everything in stock, they'll email you when it's ready and you can come get it. You don't have to pay in person, you pay online. You literally just walk in the store, you show your ID, and they give you your stuff. So if you're out running errands for the day, it's a great option. But anyways, so moving on. Those are my top products. Some people like to use cream contour. I haven't really broken into that yet. It's something I want to get into, but it makes me a little anxious. So I haven't quite, gotten into that yet. But when I do, I will go ahead and make a video and upload it and kind of show you guys how to do it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and just use powder. So what you're going to need is you're going to need your powder of choice. You're going to need a big fluffy brush to buff everything out. And then you're also going to need an applicator. So depending on how bold you want your contour, you can use several different brushes. And I will get some examples for you because I have several of them. Where is that last one? Here it is. Okay. So this is a brush that I've had for like forever. When I'm going for a more natural look and I don't want anything too sculpted, I just use an angled brush and basically just kind of angle it and like fluff it on there, because this brush does kind of blend it as it's applying it, so you're not going to have a super harsh line. Whereas if you're going for a heavier contour, you want to look really chiseled, you can use, this is a contour brush, and basically you dip it in your powder, you make a line where you want it, and then you go in with your fluffy brush and you're gonna blend it out. And then this is the same principle, it's just The top looks a tiny bit different. Both of these are by e.l.f. I find myself reaching for this one a little bit more just because it's already angled, so it's kind of perfect for your face, whereas this one is straight across and it can look a little bit too harsh. But those are the tools that you will need for powder contour. Like I said, when I start experimenting with cream contour, then I will be happy to make a video on how to apply that. But for now, we're going to focus on powder just because it's the easiest thing. So let me go ahead and get everything set. So today I'm going to be using my Hoola bronzer from Benefit. So I'm going to be using this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one side a little bit more natural, and then I'm going to do one side like super chiseled, like it's there and you know it. So for the more natural side, I'm going to go with my angled brush, and it's fluffy. And I'm going to dip it in that Hoola bronzer. I'm going to tap off the excess, and then what I'm going to do is basically you want your contour to line up with the corner of your lip, so you want it to be in here. So another way that you can find where to put it is make kind of like a fishy face. You see that line? That's what you're going to follow. So you're going to take it and you're just going to kind of fluff it. My brush is barely touching my skin, just enough that I can feel that it's on there, but I'm not pressing very firmly. And you're going to go in circular motions, back and forth. If you need to pick up a little bit more product, do that. Tap off the excess and go back in again. And I like to bring it back up into my ear, just so that there's not a super clear line of demarcation. Now, what I also like to do is I like to contour my forehead as well, just because it gives me kind of like a more healthy glow, I guess you could say. So when I do that, I'm going to move my hair. And when I contour my forehead, because my forehead is a little bit bigger, I like to put it right around here. Contour is going to make things look smaller because it's darker. Highlight is going to make things look bigger because it's brighter, if that makes sense. So it's the same principle for when you wear black. When you wear black, you look tinier. When you wear white, you look a little bit bigger. So think of it that way when it comes to contour and highlight. You're using contour on the places that you want to look smaller. So I'm going to put product on my brush, tap off the excess, lift my hair, and I typically put it right in this corner and slowly work it in towards the middle. And like I said, this is a more natural look, so it's not going to be overly obvious that you have it on. It's just kind of going to look like you have a natural glow. And I like to bring that down and connect it to my cheek. But typically the rule of thumb is you're going to make a 3. So you're going to go boom, boom. So that other spot that we're going to hit up to complete our 3, because we have a C right now. So to make that 3, we're going to go along the jawline. And you don't want to go super crazy with this, because if you do go super crazy with it, there's going to be a clear line between where your makeup starts and ends on your neck. So okay, now if you want that blended in a little bit more, you can take your fluffy brush, your big fluffy brush that we used in the setting powder video, and you can basically just take that and kind of go over it very lightly, just to kind of blend everything in. Okay, now if you're wanting to do a more intense contour, something that is like, it's obvious that you're wearing it, I'm going to go ahead and take this brush, this more chiseled one, and I'm going to use the same powder. I'm still going to use the Hoola powder. I'm going to dip it in, tap off the excess, and I'm gonna do the same thing, only this time I'm not gonna swirl it around, I'm literally gonna draw a line. So this one can be a little bit trickier. It's not as safe as the other method. So I'm gonna draw a line from this part of my ear right here to the corner of my mouth, but I'm not gonna go all the way to the corner of my mouth. I'm gonna go to about here. Okay, so you can see there's a very clear line, but we're not gonna leave it like that. So we take our fluffy brush and we start blending it. And we're just gonna keep blending it. Because basically what the blending is gonna do is it's gonna take those lines and it's basically gonna help kind of make a gradient going into those lines and like moving up into your cheek and down into your jaw. So you can see already how it's dissipated a little bit. It's still, there's still a line there. So a lot of times in those cases, what I like to do is instead of taking my brush like this, I like to turn it and make a little bit more of a shadow. We're not gonna press as hard as we did the first time so that it like slowly fades into the more intense and then it'll fade back out again. So now that we have that, go back in with your powder brush and just start blending. And we're not pushing on this super hard. We're barely touching our face with it. We just want it to be on our face enough to move product around, but not to create streaks and ruin it. Okay, so you can see already the line is kind of dissipated, but when you look at it from here, you can see the shadow. Now it's gonna look a little bit different on camera than it does in person. In person, it always looks a little bit like less bold than it does on camera for some reason. I mean, for me personally, things show up a lot bolder on camera than they do in my mirror. But you can see that there's contour there. We've created that shadow, and you're just gonna keep blending that until you're happy with the way it looks. Some women like their contour to be a little bit more pronounced, and some women like it to be very, very natural. Me personally, if I'm going full glam, I'm going full glam. I want that visible. Okay. It's showing up a little bit bolder on camera than I want it to, but that's okay, because I already knew it was going to do that. So we have one section done. So now we're going to go ahead and do our forehead. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up product, tap it off, and we're going to use the same placement as for the other side. And I'm just kind of doing tiny little pulls. I'm not patting it on there, I'm doing tiny little pulls all around that area that I want it. And once I'm happy with the amount of product on there, we'll start blending. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and blend that out. And this is a lot of times where I like to use the angle brush a little bit more, because sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to blend out those lines. But if for some reason you ever have a problem, you can always take, whether it's the brush that you applied your foundation with or your beauty blender, and just kind of dab it on the line just to kind of help dissipate it, and then like use your brush to help continue to blend it. So we have one section of our 3 done, so we need to do the last one. And this is where I always find it's a little bit tricky, because you really don't want to mess up your foundation line at all. You don't want to make it overly obvious that you're wearing foundation, or that it ends and your neck is a different color. So we're just going to run along our face and down into our jaw. Okay, so now that we have that on there, we're going to go ahead and buff it out just like we did with everything else. Okay, so our contour is done. Now, some women like to contour their nose. Personally, I like to contour the very tip of my nose just to give it a little bit of definition. So I take my brush and I just kind of wiggle it back and forth on either side of the base of my nose, just to give it a tiny bit of definition so that it doesn't look like a gigantic blob. Okay, now once I have that on there, I'm going to take my fluffy brush and I'm just going to kind of blend it out a little bit so it doesn't look super harsh. You never want your makeup to look harsh. It's supposed to look blended and natural. Except for if you're doing crazy eyeshadow. Ain't no way that's natural. But anyways, so we have our contour done. So in the next video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to discuss highlight. Now remember, highlight makes things look bigger. It draws more attention to them. Contour makes them look smaller and draws less attention. It makes it look like it's not there. It's invisible. So by creating these contour lines, we're carving out our cheekbones so that they look smaller. When we go in and do the highlight, we're going to add that so that the top part of our cheeks look bigger and juicier. Now, that's all I have for you guys for this video. But if you liked the video, please click the like button. If you want to see more videos like this one, please click the subscribe button. I try to upload videos twice a week. Typically Saturdays and Sundays is when I'll upload. And I'm going to go ahead and link my social media down below. If you have any questions or if you want to reach out and give feedback, you can comment below, or you can reach out on one of my social media accounts and just give me a shout. If you have ideas for, you know, specific topics that you want covered, let me know. Like, I've mainly been going off of feedback from, you know, friends and family that I have that have said, okay, make videos about this. So that's what I've been going off of. So I go off of your feedback. If there's something that you want me to cover, let me know and I'll cover it. That way I can share what I know. You can reach out and share what you know. We'll learn together and we'll make each other better. That's what women are for. Making each other better. Having each other's backs. So that's all I have for you today. And I will see you guys in the next video where we're going to talk about highlighter.